the Royal Navy and this government is committed to the protection of maritime trade, ensuring that both people and shipping remain safe to travel through international waters. And the work's driven by latest intelligence and analysis of that picture. And as I said on the 19th of December in my written statement, HMS Diamond has joined our partners and allies as part of the Operation Prosperity Guardian to protect freedom of navigation and merchant shipping in the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden.
Can I thank him for the answer and thank those of our armed services for their work protecting these important routes. Could he update the House on what discussions and work he's doing with our international partners to try and de-escalate tensions so we don't need to do all this protection work, we just go back to the normal free flow of trade?
Well, Mr. Speaker, as my honourable friend will know, the Houthis have been causing havoc in that part of the Red Sea, in particular attacking ships. There was a 500% increase from November to December between attacks on maritime shipping, showing that this is not, in fact, a direct connection to the wider conflict in the region, but a decision, given it was November and December, by the Houthis to attack free trade. That is unacceptable, and we're working with our partners through Operation Prosperity Guardian and other measures to tackle this.
Mr. Carmichael.
The Secretary of State is absolutely right to point the finger towards the Houthis, but we shouldn't ignore the role of Iran in this enterprise as well. What is he doing? What is the government doing to work with our international partners to ensure that the merchant marine have the confidence to keep using the Red Sea, which is absolutely critical to the smooth operating of world trade?
Well, Mr. Speaker, we absolutely call on the Iranian-backed Houthis to immediately cease these attacks. The Houthis will bear responsibility and, I have to say, the consequences should they ignore these warnings. And he asked what more we've been doing. I issued a statement along with 10 other countries during the break in which we made very clear that consequences will follow if they don't stop this action. To be clear, Mr. Speaker, the UK will not tolerate the Houthis closing international waterways.
Shadow Secretary of State John Healey.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I welcome what the Defence Secretary has to say today. These attacks on Red Sea shipping must stop. They destabilise regional security, they disrupt international trade, and they put civilian and military lives in danger. So we back the UK action with allies in the new Maritime Protection Force and the joint statement condemning these Houthi attacks that the Secretary of State has just mentioned. He's announced today, but hasn't mentioned to the House, that HMS Richmond is now sailing to the Gulf. In light of these escalating tensions, what other Royal Navy ships has he put on standby for the region?
Mr. Speaker, the reason I didn't mention it specifically is I've already placed a WMS to the House. Richmond's actually sailing to the region because both Diamond and HMS Lancaster are already there and eventually will need to be swapped out. So it's not an escalation in terms. But I do want to repeat to the Right Honourable Gentleman, to the House and to the country, that we will not tolerate trade being impacted globally in the manner in which the Houthis are currently impacting it. It will have ramifications on everybody's bills, on the flow of free trade and goods, and it must come to a halt. We've made very clear through that joint statement that we are prepared to take action if that is what is required, and I welcome the Right Honourable Gentleman's, I think, commitment there to support us in that action.
John Healey.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. When the UK took the important step of joining Operation Prosperity Guardian, he gave the House this update in a written statement. And he's done the same today alongside his comments at questions. If further action is required to deter Houthi attacks and to safeguard freedom of shipping in the Red Sea, will he undertake to provide Parliament with an oral statement?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
SNP spokesperson Martin Docker to use.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and a very happy new year to you and to the House. Now, while the Secretary of State is, of course, right to highlight the geopolitical and economic threat from the Houthi-led attacks in the Red Sea, as well, of course, the need to participate in Operation Prosperity Guardian, I wonder if you can advise the House how sustainable this and future joint operations will be when we've seen an increasing numbers of sailors leave the service, and I've seen the intake to replace them in the 12 months to March 2023 plunge by 22.1%.
Well, Mr. Speaker, the first thing I should say is I am confident that we'll be able to continue or increase our actions. It is true that we actually complete all of our operational requirements at the moment, but he is right to say there's a very tight labour market, and I think that is actually a subject for celebration, in fact, in this House, that we are seeing such low, sustained unemployment, even through some pretty turbulent times. But of course, we'll be redoubling our efforts to ensure that all of our military services can recruit the people that they need.